Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live on this classic wooden motor cruiser here in Victoria, British Columbia, along with the loving memory of my pup Geordie, all the while fixing it up for some pretty major cruising someday, I hope. If that's the sort of thing you might find interesting, please consider sticking around and subscribing. I'd love to have you. Okay then, so what are we up to this week? Well, it's been a busy week, largely with my day job keeping me busy, but lots of little things we're going to go over, and a few exciting things have arrived. Picking up something pretty fun now. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Okay, so this place is Plexiglass. It's an all-around plastics place. You can imagine they are very busy in times of COVID with plexiglass panels and stuff, but what they also have, high density molecular weight polyethylene. Yes sir, 24 pieces of 1.5 by 1 3/4 high density molecular weight polyethylene. If you've been following along, you know what these are for. If not, I'll show you in a minute. I need a bloody haircut. Okay, if you've been following along, as I said, you'll know what this is all about. High density molecular weight polyethylene plastic. It's basically a very strong, very hard, very tough, very expensive plastic. Okay, if you haven't been following along, this is going to become an integral part in the strengthening of the hull. You'll notice that they're about the same size as the frames on the boat. Well, they're almost exactly the same size. I do need to trim them down in one dimension a little bit. For a little background on plastic frames, let me take you to just a clip from the episode where I talk about it, and if you'd like to carry on there, you can watch that whole episode if you haven't seen it before.
Now, if we're going to add some more frames, some sisters, I'm going to put them halfway between the existing ones, starting with the little wedges again, and here we go! Yes, plastic frames. Only in the section where the new frames aren't going to touch. I need something to put screws in from the planks, and plastic's perfect here because it's flexible. I can slide it up behind that stringer. So, carrying on, we'll put in the new, much more gradually steam bent frames, which will come down on the outside of those stringers and fare into the plastic ones. Some bolts to hold it all together through to the chine log, and new floors, making it a really stout setup.
So there, now you can sort of see what these are for and why they're not full length. So I'm not reframing or sistering the boat with plastic. I'm just using it in areas where I need electric support and strength. If you need any more information about using plastic for frames on wooden boats, look up tips from a shipwright, which is where I first got the idea on YouTube. You can look up for plastic frames. Anyway, this has to get bent, and I can tell you right now, I hope I can steam bend this stuff. Supposed to be able to. Okay, I know I just said steam bending because that's sort of the go-to for frames, but because this isn't wood, it doesn't necessarily need to be steam bent, it just needs to be heated. Although steam bending will make sense because I can do it sort of in batch, but in the meantime, I can't resist having a little go to see if it will warm up and bend at all. I know what some of you are saying, be careful, Peter. Some plastics, when they burn, give off a poisonous gas. I'm being very careful, and we have good ventilation. This is a very dense material. It will take a long time for this heat to work its way into the middle. But because it's going to be some time before I can actually set this up and do some steam bending with it, I need to be able to sleep at night knowing this stuff can be bent. Oh boy. It's gotta get hotter. Okay, just for some closure, I have been able to bend it without using too much force and without using too much heat. Of course, I want it straight again because I have to rip it. I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to bend this. After all, you can't break it, so I can put some pretty serious force in it. So what I've determined, I'm probably going to need a jig to pre-bend them to pretty close to whatever I need, and then perhaps let them cool and stabilize. And I don't know if they have memory. It's all new to me. Any of you who have followed Tips from a Shipwright, you've seen him bend this stuff relatively successfully without any serious heat. Well, as you noticed, I didn't have a lot of luck bending it. So today I'm going to try and bend it, but before that I'm going to see if it's even sandable, because the work I'm going to need to do requires some contouring, some shaping, and I would love to have a bandsaw, but I'm not buying a bandsaw for a boat. Let's see if the stuff can be sanded at all. All right, then, I don't even own a belt sander, although I've had several identical to this over the years. This is my friend Brian's. I borrowed it, and I have some 36 grit ceramic on here, and I want to see what we can do here. All right. What we have is a slippage problem. Now a little shot of WD in the important bits, and I think we've got this thing a little happier. Okay, let's see if it'll sand. I would say that's quite successful. It kind of stands in a kind of a fuzzy, interesting mess, but the point is it does cut. Okay, no problem. That's really good news. Now, let's see if we can bend it. Well, this is a week of big things. The engine's here. No, it's not here. It's at Gartside Marine in Sydney. So I'm going to go up and have a look at it, and I have to go over a couple of small modifications that they're going to do for me before I can take delivery, but a couple days and it'll be here. Haha, so excited. You'll have to forgive the mask. We're trying to be careful. I'm here at Gartside Marine Engines, who is the supplier of the Betamarine engine that you all helped me buy. Thank you so much. And it's here, and we're going to have a look at a few components. Okay, we'll talk about it. This is so flexible, you can build all sorts of stuff, right? You know, really, we're just stocking this standard. Well, will you look at that? There it is. Goodness, goodness. Let's have a look, folks. Is that shiny or what? Those are my special legs.
So these
feet,
are special
no
feet, right? Because
Excellent.
they're so big that they wouldn't fit the crate.
Well, that's fabulous, because that'll also help a lot with getting it in the window. Will you look at that, folks? We'll talk about these two things in a little bit. Kind of special. Whoa, beauty. Well, what I'm here with Ben talking about today is this, because the sole is about here. So anyway, we'll have a quick chat about what we can do about that. Okay, I didn't get to shoot much of that, but Ben has kindly arranged to have the raw water inlet to the exhaust elbow modified, basically cut and put over sideways so that it will clear underneath the sole. That and a couple of other small things, adjusting the sensor ports, things like that, we'll go into in great detail. So it's been arranged that I'm going to pick the engine up this coming Monday. Next week it will be here. Well, it's tomorrow, and before I try again to bend one of these, let's take this a little more systematically and actually figure out what it is I need to do. So I've opened up the sole here again, and this section of the bilge, which is the most aft end in the wheelhouse, has the sharpest bend, at least in this section of the boat, in the wheelhouse, in the center part of the boat. So this is basically going to go in there, but behind that stringer. So I have to get an idea of how graceful, gentle, whatever this bend is going to be. Plus I have to start to figure out how I'm going to notch, or basically cut a scarf, a bevel in the ends of these, so that the main frame, which I think you saw in the little animation, can fall into it. But it's more complicated than that, because I've changed the design a bit since then, which I'll get into more in a little bit, because it's kind of hard to do here. Suffice to say, I just want to really do a test to see whether or not I can cut one of these, shape one of these, and get it into place. Okay, so the first step is to try and determine a rough radius that I believe the new frame that's going to be on this side of the stringer is going to take. So where it will touch the inside of the hull here and the inside of the hull there and touch inside of the stringer in one arc. There and about there. Okay, it's right. X marks the spot in the dust over here. So that is going to give me a pretty uniform 36-inch radius for the curve of the new frames. Well, that is a very gentle curve. So I am certain I can steam bend those without them ever failing in the future. Some of you are also noticing that if I put another frame on the inside, and you will have seen it in the video as well, I'm going to lose a ton of storage. For instance, this blue tote is underneath my bed, and they fit quite well. But now that I'm going to have a new frame come through right here, I'm not going to have that much storage, and further forward I'm going to have less opportunity for the fuel tanks, etc. But I believe this has to be done. But you never know, I may change my mind again. Okay, so that's the radius of the new frame. Where it's going to meet the plastic frame has changed, because I'm only going to use the plastic in a short section, and then I'm going to use a filler piece that basically represents the gap where the stringer is, also in white oak. So the plastic frame only has to deal with the really sharp bend that basically simulates this bend here. So that, if I also take from 36 inches, but from the other side, in other words, my pivot point, it's now almost 8 inches. But if I take from the inside of the stringer and I swing up, and I can tell where it hits, about there. And if I go down, same spot, and it hits about here. So now the plastic is only going to go from here to there, but it's got to be shaved in a curve. You can see this is getting complicated. It's why I want to do at least one, just to have an idea how well this is all going to work. This whole process is incredibly fluid. I change my mind every 2 minutes. Okay, I've decided, as some of you may have noticed, I'm going to have to cut a lot of curved sort of scarfs along here. And that's what I thought I was going to do with the belt sander. Basically cut it straight and then shape it with the belt sander. What a mess. What I need is a bandsaw. So, skip trying to do any cutting for now. We're going to jump straight to trying to bend this stuff just to see if it can be bent. I've looked up the temperature. It's 200 and something degrees is its melting point. I don't know if that's melting to liquid or just softening anyway. So I have procured a little steamer. For those of you who remember the last steaming project I did with the hacked together kettle, it worked fine, but I need a little more oomph. This is sold as a wood steam bending boiler or whatever, but I think it was originally built as a wallpaper steamer because the hose it came with is 10 feet long. So let's set this up with my favorite little steaming box, which is just folded over bubble wrap insulation stuff, and see if we can put a reasonable bend in this. Bandsaw, another bloody tool. I can't even look after the drill press. Yeah. Okay, it's very rudimentary, just a little, there we go. Use some of this bubble foily wrap stuff, and I'll make a little steam box. Yeah, just like that. And to do that, I'm just going to basically sew it together with some zip ties. Make a little hole. Zip tie. The trick is finding exactly where you punctured it. Okay. Okay, we'll see if that'll do. Might have to add another one after. Now the two at the bottom are to restrain the steam tube. Now it came with this, as I said, monster long 10-foot steam tube. I'm going to shorten it because I believe that I don't want the steam cooling in this tube. So I get 2 chances at this because it has the same fitting on both ends. So I'm going to cut this about here, and if that's too short for future work. Oh look, it's an insulated tube. Whoa! That's pretty cool. All right, well, no harm. I don't think. That is so cool. All right, okay, so let's put some water in this. I'll be right back. All right then, so I started with hot water to improve my chances of expediency here. We'll try the fitting on here. It comes with a standard computer PC style wire, so if I ever lose this, I have a couple hundred spares. Well, I probably don't anymore, but I certainly did over the years. And I'll just put this up through here. And plug it in. So let me show you what we got going here. All right, so boiler is now boiling away. I haven't read any instructions at all. I'm sure boiling water is pretty straightforward. That feels like a safety valve. Yeah. All right. All right then, well, while waiting, I fired up the phone and good old Facebook Marketplace, which is all new to me, and I found a cheap bandsaw. So as soon as I test this, I'm gonna run across town and pick up a used bandsaw because I think that's exactly what I need to do this stuff. We're making steam. Okay, that's been about 15 minutes, probably not as long as I could go, but I have been doing some bending tests and it does look like it's getting a little bit softer. So I'm gonna shut her off, remove the rig hopefully without burning myself, put that down there, take off the steam box. This is gonna be hotter than heck. Woohoo, yes it is. And I'm gonna try and bend it simply by standing on it. Oh yeah. Okay. There's a little bit of the spring back, but I can tell that this will easily bend if I put it in a jig and hold on to it a little bit. That is absolutely fantastic. Good news. Okay, I'm off to pick up a bandsaw. Let me just straighten it out first because that'll do to cut it up again. Okay. Want to come? Well, that little steam generator is a treat, just fine. Again, I said about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes maybe, which would definitely be long enough if I pull it into a jig. Again, you can't break the plastic. If you can bend it, it's bent. Okay, what on earth am I gonna do with a bandsaw? You know, lots of things, if I can just figure a place to put it. All right. Cute little crosswheel little bandsaw. This is gonna be handy for a lot of things. All right. Well, you just know I gotta try it. I'm gonna assume this is the, that's the tension. Oh, here's the blade support. Oh, look at that. Okay, so let's set ourselves up for a little space there. I don't know, somewhere like that. Let's assume the table is accurate. Tighten her up a bit just in case. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is going to make this ever so much easier. Now all I have to do is figure out all the geometry of all the concentric arcs to make this work. Yeah. Well, hello there and welcome to the Travels with Geordie Beer of the Week, live aboard MV Geordie here in Victoria on another glorious day. Okay, let's get straight to the beer. This is from Lighthouse Brewing. It's Numbskull. It's a double IPA, and Lighthouse is a local brewery just around the corner. So I'm curious to see what this tastes like. What a week it's been. So many little things going on, and I finished up with a day job project, which is good. That'll liberate me for the very busy week coming. The engine, of course, as you saw, is ready to be picked up. The plan is to pick it up Monday. Unfortunately, before I can pick it up, I have to pick up the timbers, the Douglas fir timbers for the engine beds, which are held up. So I'm hoping I can get them Monday morning. All right, cheers. Numbskull from Lighthouse. Let's see what we think. Oh, yes! Sometimes a beer just is exactly what I'm looking for. It's hot, I'm hot, it's a nice day. This is a strong, but not too hoppy. Awesome, awesome, flavorful, just brilliant, I love it. And I don't like Lighthouse all that often, so that's really great. Okay, so let's get down to it. Last week's t-shirt winner was Hack. Thought it was Hank for a second. Hack Fabrication. So whoever you are, Hack Fabrication, get in touch because you want a Travels with Geordie t-shirt. So let me know. like to thank two new Patreons that came on last week, Mark McVitie and Scott Fritz. Cheers to you both. Thanks so much. Very, very grateful. And off the Amazon wish list. Oh, these are good. Just beautiful. Look at these lovely babies here. These are Mueller 3-way fuel selection valves. If you've been following along, you saw I put a set of these on MV Zephyrus when I redid the fuel system. So these are for the fuel system for MV Geordie here. So one will be for selecting which tank port or starboard is the supply. The other will be for, I don't know why I pick a different one up, they're all identical. The other one will be for the return, and the last one will be to select whether the fuel system is in regular operation mode or in polishing mode. More on that later. There'll be an electric fuel pump to do constant fuel polishing. Okay, now you're saying, Peter, if you have two valves, you know what? We're gonna get into that when we get into it. So, cheers, and thank you ever so much to whoever gave them to me, because yet again, they came without any indication of who sent them. So please, if you can reach out and let me know you sent them, I'd be happy to thank you properly. Cheers to whoever you are. Worse yet, the Klein barbecue set that came last week off the Amazon wish list, somewhere in the comments and the messages that came to me over the last week, came an acknowledgement of the person who sent them, and I just spent half an hour trying to find it again. I will dig it out, but if you'd be kind enough just to nudge my memory again, I'd be happy to thank you properly. Cheers, cheers. Okay. Okay, now all we need is, damn, that's good. I mean, really good. Okay, I just need a word of the week. And I think the word of the week for this week is going to be, I don't know what it's going to be. I haven't thought of it. I thought it would just come flying right out as I said it. Oh, I remember now. The word of the week this week is imminent. Imminent, as I just have this sense that with the engine, you've seen it, it's here, I'm going to pick it up Monday. Big things are imminent. The engine install is imminent. What a great word, imminent. So if you like, you know what to do. Cheers, see you next week.